right from the beginning, this movie lets you know, because when you're in the locker room of the Port Authority and the doors swing and the camera just hangs for a second on each one of the names, one after the other, you're like, these are real people, this really happened. So did going to work every day, was it a little bit on this movie, a little bit different than going to work on another movie?
Well, it's an enormously different experience because we're dealing with real people, and it's about an event in our history which is incredibly profound, so I felt a lot of responsibility with that.
All I can say is that everybody, the crew and cast, worked beyond the ordinary, and there was a feeling that it was special.
What was the reaction, though, when you went into New York and when you were dealing with extras and people and making this happen?
It was sensitive politically, there was no question. We were based out of the Port Authority, and we did about a third of the movie there. But there was political sensitivities. We got about 3 blocks from the World Trade Center. We got to shoot up down to there, but there was no commotion in the streets, no violence, no disturbance, no memory of that day. They're very sensitive about it. I understand why. Yeah. We shot the rest in Los Angeles at the rubble field. We built 1 acre big, and we built 2 gigantic complexes with holes in them to do the work inside the holes where the 2 men were buried.
Nicolas, you're always so expressive, whether in your mannerisms or on screen, with great personalities in some characters, and yet so much of this movie is so tightly shot on your face and only your face. Did you think, when you're thinking, oh, okay, I can do this, was it tougher than you thought it was going to be acting-wise?
Well, if there was any challenge, it was the trying not to dwell on the pressure of playing John McLaughlin, a real live hero, with Oliver directing. But the stillness was not a challenge in that I felt liberated. I didn't have to move and think about marks and where I was going to position myself. I was allowed to go within and stimulate my imagination to try to recreate in some small way John's experience on that day.
Oliver, why the decision to film so tight in a lot of those scenes?
Well, the essence, stylistically, to solve the problem was to put light and dark, to put light and shadow on their faces and keep it. It couldn't be movement. It was a very simple approach, but lighting was tricky. And in the same vein, the whole movie is balanced out almost in a mathematical way, 50% light, 50% dark. And you don't want to stay too long in the dark, and you don't want to stay too long in the light, because people have a limited capacity.
Now, you had the people consulted for you, the people they're portraying in this movie. How did they feel about you, I don't want to say invading their lives, but I guess rehashing the story? I mean, were they like, could you have done this without them, I guess, is my question.
No. The script came to me with the cooperation of Will and John and Donna and Allison and the rescuers, and they all were very helpful throughout. And that's not to say there was censorship, but they understood the nature of taking 24 hours and making 2 hours of it. But on the other hand, if something was wrong, it was wrong, and they let us know.
Especially there's a scene at during the rescue where it seemed to me that every single person there, just whether they wanted to help or not, wanted to touch the as they were pulling them out. Is it just like a team? I mean, everybody wanted to be a part of that. It
was a tremendous effort by 2 rescue teams for John and Will, involving interdepartmental activity up to 50, 60 men. It was a very confusing rescue, but it worked against odds. They were all at risk through the night.
And Nicolas, when you were working with John, talking to him, were you just trying to find out who this guy was, or were you actually studying him to see how he moved, or what kind of a person he was?
All of it. I wanted to get his essence and distill it down to what I thought was interesting. I wanted to get his voice, his accent, his mannerisms, and his thought process, how he got through this, how he coped. That was the most interesting thing about it for me.
You guys made a tremendous and very important film. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that's nice to hear.